Nationwide mandatory return to office. The email subject line hit me like a punch to the gut. Of course, there was no return involved. For me at least. I'd been hired, pre-pandemic, to a fully remote position. I recalled the countless hours I'd spent cowering for such a role and how ecstatic I'd been when I'd been selected for it. The job entailed hard work, but I'd excelled at it, and my husband and I had built our family around the flexibility it offered. Now, my employer had the gall to suggest that its rescission of the promise it had made to me would improve productivity, foster increased collaboration, and instill a sense of family amongst our staff. Nope, 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 and yuck. I thought. The email continued by declaring that true success and experience required a regular presence in the office. It all read like our CEO, in typical form, projecting his own uselessness and impotence onto his employees. I sighed. Why couldn't I or, for that matter, anyone else on my team be dumb, lazy, and short-sighted enough to climb the corporate ladder as high as he had? My husband and I scrambled to make the necessary life changes as my applications to other jobs went nowhere. Realizing we could no longer give our dog the amount of exercise and attention she needed, we rehomed her to live with my mother-in-law. We staggered our work schedules to permit one of us to drop off our twins at daycare and the other to pick them up at the end of the day. My husband, who always fought to maintain a positive attitude, reminded me that we were still living a good life in the grand scheme of things, even if we were set to have less time together as a family. I know, I replied. It's just that we all know that these changes aren't happening for good reasons. We're moving backwards. Just because the dipshits who run these companies think they're a lot smarter than they really are. I shrugged, feeling defeated and exasperated. But that's just the way it's always been, and always going to be, isn't it? Finding a parking space driving was the only option. Due to the lack of public transit proved nightmarish. For over 20 minutes, I meandered through all 9 floors of the garage searching for an open spot. Finally, I wedged my car into the only gap I could find, which lay between a support column and a truck left sloppily over the line by its driver, and escaped my vehicle by crawling out of the back seat. As I hurried down a staircase and towards the main building, I wondered how anyone who arrived after me would be able to park. I was there relatively early, after all, and I hadn't seen any other available spaces. Passing underneath the giant Abernathy Industries emblem, I entered the main lobby, where a young woman in azure jacket and skirt suit waved to me. "It must be Cora," she said, before introducing herself as Monica. "I'm with HR, and I'll be showing you the way to your office." "Nice to meet you, Monica," I said. "I believe we've talked by mail a few times." Indeed we have. As we shook hands, a bright, beaming smile stretched across her face. "This is such an exciting day for me," she gushed, a tear in her eye. "For all of us, really. You've been a part of this company for years. But now, it feels different. Like you're finally a part of our family." This took me aback. Naturally, I did not see, and had no desire to ever see, the people I put up with to pay my mortgage as brothers or sisters, or second cousins twice removed, for that matter. So, how do I find my office?" I asked, eager to change the subject. "Oh, right," Monica responded, as if snapping out of a trance. "This way," as she led me to the building's main elevator. We passed a set of closed double doors labeled auditorium. "We do big events in there too," Monica explained. "In fact, we'll be doing a welcome celebration for you and all the other former remote workers in there this afternoon. Everyone will be in attendance. We're all so excited for it." Dear God, I thought, reflexively recoiling at the thought of an office social gathering. All I wanted from this company was a fucking paycheck, not a party to honor its latest efforts to torment me. Inside the elevator, Monica pressed the button for 19. This confused me, as my supervisor had emailed me that my team's offices were on the 18th floor. Monica, as if reading my mind, informed me that renovations were occurring in the 18th floor elevator lobby. "So, you'll have to go to the 19th floor, and then work your way down from there. I'll show you." "Oh, okay," I mumbled, annoyed at the extra time it would take to reach my workspace. The doors opened to reveal a gloomy hallway. Half the overhead lights seemed to be broken, and the other half flickered sporadically over a narrow patch of marble floor surrounded by a sea of carpet pattern and sickly shades of brown, gray, and dark green. Accounting is that way, said Monica, motioning to the right. HR, including my office, is straight ahead. But for now, follow me this way through sales. At this, Monica abruptly scurried into the darkness. I called out for her to slow down, but she ignored me. Seeing no other option, I doubled my speed to keep up with her. We passed offices, cubicles, a rundown kitchen, and copy machines. I became disoriented as Monica turned sharply to the left, and to the left again at the next intersection. Then right, then left once more. As Monica took me past a corner office, I peeked through the window of its closed door. Inside, I glimpsed a well-dressed figure sitting behind a desk. He was frozen in place, as if deep in thought, and bizarrely, his face seemed to have no features at all. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth skin bereft of any other qualities. That can't be right, I thought to myself, as I continued to hurry after Monica. Surely the window was made of frosted glass. My eyes were playing tricks on me in the low light. Monica's voice emerged from the distant shadows. You still there, Cora? Yeah, on my way. I panted as I jogged towards her. Monica proceeded to lead me down a staircase. The floor below was just as gloomy as the floor above, and reaching my cubicle required traversing a maze of narrow corridors. And here it is, your very own workspace, announced Monica as I examined the small area, which contained only a dingy chair facing a dusty computer on a plain desk. If you have any concerns, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you at the welcoming party later. Actually, I do have a few questions, I said, as I took a seat, about the lighting, and the route we took to get here, and the lack of space in the parking garage. And, to my surprise, I looked back to find Monica gone. Monica? I called. She didn't respond, and when I got up to search for her, she seemed to have vanished. My computer slowly came to life, only to promptly turn itself off moments later. I groaned as the process repeated itself several times before the computer finally stayed on long enough for the login screen to appear. I hastily entered my credentials. My computer's hard out proceeded to heat up and emit a series of discordant noises, as if my mere act of logging into was causing it to struggle under an intense strain. How was I going to get anything done with all these delays? If I were using my work laptop, which I'd been required to mail back several days ago, I'd have accomplished a considerable amount already. Finally, after several minutes, everything appeared to have loaded. I opened the spreadsheets and was about to start working when an unfamiliar voice startled me. Cora, so good to see you. I turned to find myself facing a Hispanic woman with long brown hair. Before I could react, she dashed up to me and wrapped her arms around me. Whoa. Stop that, I screamed as I angrily shoved her off me. She backed up, her expression changing to a mixture of puzzlement and concern. Is something wrong? Cora? Did I surprise you? Who are you? I asked. What? You know who I am. Don't be silly. No. She let out an irritated sigh. Look, Cora, I'm not playing whatever game this is. It's me, Ava, a mentor and partner on countless projects. And you know that from the dozens and dozens of video calls we've had together. So why are you pretending not to? This left me dumbfounded and bewildered. The person she was describing, the Ava I'd worked with for years, simply wasn't the woman standing at the entrance of my cubicle. That the correct one was black for starters, had a totally different voice, and was not the kind of person to surprise me with an unsolicited hug. When I didn't respond, I didn't know how to. After all, fake Ava chimed in. It's probably just the lights, they sure keep it dim around here, don't they? But you'll get used to it. When management first removed most of the lights, it upset me, but I adjusted, and it stopped bothering me after a while. She continued, oblivious to the total disinterest I attempted to project. Less electricity saves money and supports the bottom line, after all, and that's what matters most. Anyway, did you hear the latest about Michael? His wife discovered the pictures, the ones with that flight attendant I told you about, and she's furious. Michael, meanwhile, keeps. As she spoke, my mind tried to wrap itself around what was happening. Who is this person? And why was she impersonating Ava? And why was everything at the office so goddamn weird? Anyway, continued fake Ava, after several minutes of monologuing. Are you alright, Cora? You looked tired. Yeah, I'm just feeling a little run down. I answered, truthfully. James and Ella had woken up twice last night. I'd barely gotten any sleep. The twins keeping you up again? She asked. This bothered me. It felt like an invasion of my privacy. How the hell did this lady know about my family situation? I'd vented about family issues to Ava there Alava many times. But this lady had no way of knowing any of that. Look, why don't we talk later? I asked, eager to get rid of her. I need to get back to work. Sure thing. I'll see you soon. Let's grab lunch sometime soon. At that, fake Ava finally left me in peace. I turned back to my computer. I thought about typing up a resignation letter and marching right out, assuming I could even find the building exit at this point. Everything that had happened thus far today left me deeply uncomfortable. I didn't want to work here anymore. Consequences be damned. I opened a blank Word document and began drafting an email to my supervisor explaining all the reasons why I was providing my 2 weeks' notice. The thoughts I laid out were unfiltered and littered with pejorative s directed at company leadership. I knew I would water it down and clean it up prior to sending it. But, for now, it felt good to write how I honestly felt. Before long, the words before me blurred together as the combination of minimal lighting and barely 2 hours of sleep sent me into a daze. I'll close my eyes. Just for a second, I told myself as I leaned back and retreated into memories of happier times. I awoke to the sound of a high-pitched whine. At first, I assumed it to be the nighttime cry of James or Ella signifying the need for a diaper change or feeding. But, as I regained my senses, I realized that I was still at work, and that I'd somehow managed to fall into a deep sleep in my cubicle's second-rate chair. Frantically, I checked my phone. It was 301p. I'd slept nearly all day. I chided myself for letting this happen. I'd never slept at work before, much less for so long. Though, in fairness to me, nearly all the lights were out, and the room was almost pitch black. Whatever, I thought. I'd made up my mind to quit this job anyway. Perhaps it was something of a conciliation prize that I'd managed to fall into the deepest nap since I gave birth to the twins on the same day I would provide my 2 weeks' notice. But why was it so damned dark? And what was the distant sound which continued to wail through my work area that had woken me? I discerned something strange about my computer. 2. When I placed my hands on the keyboard, the buttons felt different than usual. They didn't press down, or react at all to my touch. When I shined my only source of light, my cell-phone's flashlight function on my computer, I saw that my computer had been replaced by a paper replica of itself. The kind of thing you'd, if you're old enough, seen a display at an office supply store. What the fuck? Thought. The weirdness of it alone bothered me plenty. But even worse was the implication that someone had switched out my functioning computer while I dozed right in front of it. That's it. I'm getting out of here. The first thing I noticed as I entered the surrounding labyrinth of offices and cubicles is that they all appeared to be unoccupied. My flashlight revealed a few signs of life: a stray pen, a coffee mug, or a half-finished snack, but no people. Picture frames stood on some desks and hung on some walls, but they displayed only blank voids rather than images of smiling families. I tried to retrace the route Monica had taken me on, but quickly found myself at a dead end. Hello? I hollered. I'm a bit lost. Can anybody help me? There was no response. As I wandered further, turning in different directions as I went, it dawned on me that I'd yet to see a single window to the outside world, even as my surroundings seemed to stretch on unbelievably far. The lack of any glimpse of the sun or sky made me feel claustrophobic. I encountered the staircase doors, but, in what I assumed to be a serious fire hazard, each was locked. The handle to one of them marked emergency exit was even encumbered by layers of heavy metal chains. The sound that woke me reverberated again. I was close to it, and I could now sense that it possessed a hollow, machine-like timbre, lacking any better ideas. I headed down towards it. The carpeted floor before me was damp. Some kind of puddle had formed on it, and, while I couldn't get a good look at it, the wet substance on it did not appear to be water. Rather, it had a murky, greenish quality to it. Using my flashlight, I traced the liquid to its source. which appeared to be an air vent that's steadily dripping a small stream of it onto the ground below. I hopped over puddle, landed near the closed door to the room that appeared to be the source of the sound. When I opened the door, the blinding light inside forced me to shut my eyes. As my vision slowly adjusted, I realized that the sound simply originated from the standard copy machine housed in this room, which appeared to be in the midst of a large printing job. Examining it more closely, I realized that it seemed to be stuck in a peculiar loop. Each page in a large ream of paper entered it on one side, went through the machine, and exited without a single marking on it. Once the output tray reached a particular height, the sheets would slide down a ramp into the input tray, repeating the loud and pointless cycle. I placed a finger on the power button and held it there until the machine turned off. An eerie silence followed, broken only by the soft pats of my feet against the carpet as I re-entered the hallway. I walked, trying every door as I did so. Most were locked. Some led to vacant offices. Others led to empty closets, or break rooms with crumbs and pots half filled with the remnants of last week's coffee. As time passed, the darkness around me, still punctured only by my phone light, seemed to grow more opaque, more encompassing. Occasionally, I'd see what looked to be the same supply cabinet filled with purple highlighters, or the same translucent puddle of gunk, or the same cubicle with a running fan and a chair plopped on its side hands that I was somehow traveling in a circle, but I took no discernible turns, and the order in which I came upon each landmark was inconsistent. How do I get out of here? I realized I was becoming thirsty, and I knew my phone battery wouldn't last forever. When I tried calling my husband to be followed, if he didn't answer, by a call to the front desk, and then 911 if necessary. The call failed, despite my phone displaying that it had service. Distant sounds drew my attention. At first, they resembled high-pitched giggles, but as I approached, they erupted into the buoyant laughter of a crowd. How anyone could feel compelled to express any feeling of joy in this hellhole perplexed me, but I attempted to track down the source all the same. If I just follow the laughter, I'll find someone who can lead me out, I told myself. But, deep down, what I wanted most was the simple reassurance that I wasn't stuck here all alone. I ran down hallways. I climbed over cubicle walls. I yanked at stuck doorknobs and stormed from one side of a sticky, dingy kitchen to the exit on the other side. Finally, I found myself in a narrow corridor. At the opposite end, an overhead light blared over an open rectangular space. At least a dozen figures stood in it, but my eyes, having long ago adjusted to the dark, couldn't make out any distinguishing features on them. They just stood there, facing me. Then, all at once, they were gone. Their laughter faded, too, leaving behind only the same sterile silence that had haunted me for so long. Had they run away or gone somewhere else? I chased after them, calling out for help. I found myself in exactly the place I was looking for, an elevator lobby. Contrary to Monica's warning, I see no evidence of renovations. The people assembled here must have just gone downstairs. I didn't ask myself what they were doing standing here and bellowing for so long. I didn't need to know that. I just needed to get the hell out, something I finally had a way to do. Nervously, I held out my hand and prayed that the down button. I held my breath as the floor display slowly reached my level 12. 17. The doors then opened to reveal a clean, well-lit elevator cab. I rushed inside, hit the lobby button, and watched with relief as the doors closed and the elevator began its descent. I tapped my sweaty fingers impatiently against the wall as the floor steadily ticked down. Finally, Elle appeared, and the doors opened to the main lobby. Only one thing stood between me and the exit, a pale woman with curly red hair, the first person I'd seen in ages, whose face lit up upon seeing me exit the elevator. "Girl, what took you so long?" she hollered in a nauseatingly excited voice. "You almost missed it. Come on." I sped past her, my gaze focused on the way out. She moved rapidly, her firm hand grabbing me around the wrist before I could react. I attempted to fling her off, but with surprising force, she easily held me in place. "Cora, the part is that way," she said, gesturing towards the auditorium with the hand that wasn't restraining me. "I know how much you want to get home and see the twins, but you have to at least make an appearance." "Let me go," I cried. She adopted a deadpan expression. "Cora, we're not doing that. First you pretend not to know me. Next you zone out the whole time I'm filling you in about Michael. And now you try to skip your own welcome back party? You and me were like sisters. Cora, what happened to you? My jaw dropped. Was this person also pretending to be Ava? I tried to pull away from her again, only for the second fake Ava to whirl around, restrain me, and, with remarkable strength, pull me towards the auditorium. I kept trying to fight her, to pull her off of me, but all succeeded in doing was exhausting myself even further. Some of what followed passed in a blur. I recall Ava, or whatever she was, dragging me past row after row of empty seats, across countless small puddles of rancid goo, and onto a stage covered in banners, streams, and balloons, and unnatural warmth drifting down from the air above, and the sense that I was being watched by something hostile and utterly evil. I remember spotting a loose balloon and watching it as it floated ever so slowly, up and above the auditorium stage. With a loud pop, it burst upon making contact with a sight that still horrifies me to this day. An amalgam of body parts stretched across the ceiling, a soup of limbs, torsos, lips, ears and, more than anything, faces, so many faces, all floating in an inverted pool, a hazy green substance occasionally dripping from their paint. Open mouths onto the floor below. A plethora of voices, one of which I recognized as Monica's, began speaking. Welcome home. We're happy to have you here with us. We've been waiting for you for so long. I knew you'd make it. I felt paralyzed. For a moment, I stood there, speechless and stunned, as the faces, male and female, black and white, young and old, oozed into a new form held together by flabby patches of skin and bent tendons. They combined into a gigantic, monstrous face, with an open, hungry mouth lined by hundreds of lips, filled with teeth composed of thousands of teeth. Out of its mouth slithered a long, slimy organ. It unfurled as it dropped, landing before me with a wet plop. It was a tongue, stitched together from the tongues and various other organs that had once belonged to the marketers, janitors, supervisors, accountants, and secretaries of my company. My captor pushed me closer to it. For a moment, I thought about giving up, about letting the sticky ligament wrap around me and pull me upwards into the gaping mouth. I wondered what it would be like to be digested by that thing, to become a part of it, to become one with everyone else. I imagined it swallowing up my anxieties, my student debt, and my bouts of insomnia, and replacing them with bottomless sleep. The mouth above me emanated several words in a deep, slurred voice, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I knew I had to fight, not just for myself, but also for the twins, my husbands, and the life I wanted to live. James and Ella are counting on me, I told myself, as I mustered the kind of strength that courses through an animal protecting its young. It caught fake Heavy off guard. At first, she managed to keep her grip on me, but the pain from the way I scratched and dug my nails into her arm eventually wore her down. With all my might, I pried her off of me and, without wasting a moment, took the opportunity to run. I remember screaming, loud, even deafening, screaming from above, as if every face that made up that creature was shrieking its disapproval. I didn't look up, nor did I glance back to see if fake Ava was following me. No, all I did was run. I sprinted across the auditorium, through the main lobby, and out the front door. I kept going for as long as I could, until my feet were blistered and my body could take me no further. I didn't care about my car, which, to this day, I assume remains where I IF'd it between the support column and the truck. I just cared about putting as much distance as possible between me and my employer. I still have nightmares about what I saw. More than anything, what frightens me is the knowledge that it's still out there, and that it's still hungry. There was a strange email on my computer the next morning. It was from Monica, and it stated that my resignation email had been accepted. This struck me as weird, as I'd never finished writing, much less sent that email, and I had no reason to pick a fight about it. Monica promised a good severance, after all, and even added that I wouldn't have to do anything more to collect it. No paperwork, no projects to finish up. It would be a clean break. Best wishes to you and your family, she wrote at the end of the message. This made me uncomfortable, though it took me a moment to realize why. Then it dawned on me. It was what the thing, the face on the ceiling, had said to me just as I made my move to escape. The words I have tried so very hard to block out of my mind ever since. Join us, Cora. Come, become a part of our family.